morning, everybody. Welcome.
Good morning.
To what started out a pretty dark and dreary looking day, and a wet one, to a beautiful day. I'm very grateful for it. Today I'd like to read a little bit from Matthew 7, Modest Yahu in Hebrew. So if you want to turn there, if you have a Bible, we're going to be in chapter 7, and we're going to start at verse 15 and go to 23. Be careful of false prophets. They come to you and look gentle like sheep, but they are really dangerous like wolves. Not us. You will know these people because of what they do. Good things don't come from people who are bad, just as grapes don't come from thorn bushes and figs don't come from thorny weeds. In the same way, every good tree produces good fruit. A good tree cannot produce bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot produce good fruit. Every tree that does not produce good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. You will know those false people by what they do. Not everyone who calls me Lord will enter God's kingdom. The only people who will enter are those who do what my Father in heaven wants. On that last day, many will call me Lord. They will say, Lord, Lord, by the power of your name we spoke for God. And by your name we forced out demons and did many miracles. Then I will tell those people clearly, get away from me, you people who do wrong. I never knew you. So this is where Jesus is talking about false prophets. He's talking about how we would recognize what is good and what is bad. He tells us to judge the things that we see that in people by their doings, by their actions. It's out of the heart that the mouth speaks. It's also out of the heart that a man acts as well. And so when we talk about that tree, we're talking about what kind of tree do we have? Do we have a transformed tree? Do we have a transformed heart? Or do we have a bad heart that is evil and it produces evil? A little bit of an illustration here is in some fruit, or actually fruit of my vegetable garden here.
Right.
This is a spaghetti squash. This is what they're supposed to look like. And this is an imposter. This squash germinated, or not germinated, pollinated with some neighboring zucchinis. The wrong crowd. Okay? And so I have half of a spaghetti squash and half of a zucchini squash. Now, the vines that they grew on looked identical. They were both beautiful vines. In other words, they were dressed beautifully, they looked good, they looked great, but this one produced a good fruit. This one produced a bad fruit. I don't know what it looks like on the inside, but it's not what it's supposed to be. Okay? And so the idea is that we should take away from this is that, when you hear people and you watch people, it's not how good they present themselves. It's not the clothes they're wearing or how eloquent their speech is or how patriotic they might sound or how loving they might sound. It's the fruit that you look to and that we're called to judge good and evil.
That's right.
And so I thought these were a perfect analogy for that today. And the season that we're getting into, now at the end of this week. On Friday, my birthday is actually going to be Rosh Hashanah, or Yom Teruah, the Feast of Trumpets, and that's going to be the rapture of the church one day. That's when the trumpet will sound. That's when the believers are called up, and it's my prayer that not one of us is going to hear that I never knew you. It's not coming to church that saves you. It's not how much we give. It's not how much we do anything personally. It's because we're saved. We're either saved or not saved. Like in the Titanic, when they went to go survey who survived the Titanic, there were two lists. One said saved and one said lost. And you're going to be on one of those two lists. So saved list.
Amen.
And you do that by doing the will of the Father and having a transformed heart because he's